Let's talk. We wanna welcome you to SAZETU. Let's talk. This show's alive because of SAZETU.
SAZETU is brought to you by Maine Spirits. Learn more about the delicious spirits they import into the great state of Maine and the cocktails you can make with them at mainspirits.com or by downloading their app for your smartphone or visiting them on Instagram at Maine_spirits. Promotional consideration by State Theatre Portland. Visit statetheatreportland.com for an up-to-date schedule of virtual events and upcoming announcements as we get closer to normalcy. And Sun Tiki Studios, a top-notch rehearsal and performance facility located on Forest Avenue in Portland, Maine. Learn more at suntikistudios.com.
As in the past couple weeks, I've been sending you over to the Maine Spirits YouTube page to watch long-form video versions of these cocktails that we're making here on the show. But as always, we want to show you how to make a drink here while you're listening. So this week, my friend and co-host, Zach Jones, actually called in. He had a bottle of Grand Marnier, something we're all very familiar with the sight of. It's ubiquitous. It's kind of like on most liquor shelves. It's usually offered to people after dinner as a sip, which is very nice. But it's an orange liqueur, so you can make a margarita with it. There's a few different things you can do. Anywhere Triple Sec would live or Cointreau would live, Grand Marnier can kind of slip in there as well. What I showed Zach how to make, however, was a sidecar. And what's cool about it is that it also uses cognac, which we used in the last drink. So in the interest of showing you how to make multiple drinks with different liqueurs, this is in upkeeping with that. So I will show you now how to make a sidecar. In a shaker full of ice, add the following: 2 ounces of cognac. Hennessy will do if you bought it from last week. 3/4 of an ounce of Grand Marnier and 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. Stir that until cold and strain it into a coupe glass, and then finish it with a lemon twist. And then, of course, now take a sip. What you have here is a luxuriously smooth cognac, now coupled with a luxurious cognac-based orange liqueur. That's the other thing I failed to mention earlier. Grand Marnier is actually a cognac as well. It's just mixed with an orange liqueur to make Grand Marnier. Super smooth. Smooth to drink. You look smooth drinking it. Smooth all the way around. You can learn more about this drink and many other drinks by logging on to mainspirits.com. You can download their app for your smartphone, or you can follow them on Instagram at main_spirits. And now you can follow them on YouTube and watch me on video, as if you need that in your life. But regardless, please drink deliciously and responsibly. So, Donovan, I didn't realize when we were yapping on the phone the other day when Jones conferenced us in together that you were under a time crunch.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was a little all over the place on that phone call. I realized after I got off the phone with you guys.
No, it's all good, but I was I called Jones afterwards like, did I make him mad? He's like, oh no, he had to go. Like, oh okay.
It's like, Donovan, how are you? And you're like, good.
Yeah, that was it. How have you been? Good.
Right.
And then I was like, is that all we got? Like, yeah, guys, I gotta go. So, like, whoa, what's that? Coming in hot.
Oh man, what kind of apology do I owe him?
Yeah. I'll do your fucking podcast, dick.
I'm gonna tear you a new one for all your listeners to hear how big of an asshole you are.
I've been waiting 10 years to give you a piece of my mind, mister.
Yeah. Well, you guys are probably wondering why I've asked you all here today.
I am. I gotta go, so
so make it quick. I just wanted to say, how are you? Good. All right.
Yeah.
Good talk.
Fine.
Yep. I've got a hard 222 out. So
great.
For reference, it's 214. Anyway.
Well, as you guys know, I still don't understand how to use social media after all these years. Mm-hmm. But one thing I have learned fairly recently is what hashtags are and what it means when they're trending.
Yes.
And so a couple weeks ago, well, I guess now, every now and then I'll go on Twitter now just to see what's trending and see what people are talking about. And a couple weeks ago, I signed on to Twitter, and Paul Simon was trending, which freaked me out because normally if a celebrity is trending, it means they've either done something horribly offensive or they're dead. Fortunately, this was neither of those. He's very much alive. But it turns out he has sold his whole catalog to Sony.
Which I had read about also maybe last week.
Yeah, but even that was not the reason why he was trending.
No.
The reason he was trending is because in their coverage of him selling his catalog to Sony, NBC News had a headline that says, Paul Simon sold his catalog to Sony for millions. He'll still end up as a historical footnote to Dylan.
Yeah.
So naturally, that made me...
when you told me that, right, that you had conveyed that to me, and I reacted negatively,
as you should,
to that horrendous blanket statement, and then, if I may, and I'll pass it back to you, Jones. Then you mentioned that you received this information from our friend Peter Donovan.
Well, Peter Donovan actually read the article. I refused to do that.
Not going to do it.
Yeah, not going to do it.
I'm not going to fall for that clickbait. I'm not giving them my ad revenue.
You know what? I actually looked up this author, and I expected to see a history of him just writing shit-talking articles. And it turns out he is actually a singer-songwriter. For the past 10 years, he's been writing freelance music interviews and stuff like that. And I'm not going to say his name because I don't want you to, if I give him credit, it'll be for something good that he did. But I did get the impression that this was sort of like when you write something negative on Facebook, everybody comments. But if you write something like, I did good today, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Peter sent us a link this morning. Like, here's or maybe that was you, Jones.
Yeah.
I didn't look it up. Don't care that you're telling me he's a singer-songwriter. It sounds like, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, sorry about your career, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, whatever. I mean, I feel like I can say that. It's not like I'm like, if I were like somehow successful, it could be viewed as like snotty, but it's also like, just like chill out. It's like, sorry, your song, your footnotes didn't become more famous.
Yeah. That's true. It's like, if Paul Simon is going to be a footnote to Dylan, what does that say for the rest of us?
Yeah, like footnote. Like we're not like, yeah. Where are we? We're not even on the body.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're going to do the
on?
thing. I didn't want to.
No, I was just going to say. As you said, our special guest today is our resident specialist and expert who has actually read that article. Mr. Peter Donovan, who is also a singer-songwriter, works under the moniker and sometimes band name of All the Real Girls.
How you doing, guys?
Hello.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thanks for being had.
I'm looking at this headline as you read it to me, Jones, and it was infuriating me all over again.
Yeah, it makes my blood boil.
Donovan, if you don't mind, because you've already clicked through, so they already got your ad money.
Oh yeah, I'm desperate for clickbait these days.
Yeah, I know.
I'll do anything.
These are hard times. Do you mind walking us through the article and us and the listener?
Yeah, so it kind of talked about how this is the new in vogue thing. A lot of these aging boomer icons are doing is selling their catalogs. Mm-hmm. Dylan did it. Stevie Nicks. I think Neil Young did something like this too.
McCartney bought his back, didn't he?
No, Sony owns his.
Okay, never mind.
I think he's getting his back. He's sitting there waiting while they each, as they each become like, as the original contract expires, he's acquiring them, I believe, one by one.
Oh, okay.
Which is a delight to watch. Anyway, back to you, Donovan.
So he sort of lays out the story that Paul Simon has done the same thing, selling his catalog, and then for some reason feels the need to like comment on it. This feels like this could just be sort of like a short news article, like, "Hey, Paul Simon did this." It kind of feels like the way you would do like a retirement announcement in like the local paper.
Sure.
It's just sort of like, "Hey, Joe Schmo, after 30 years at the insurance company is retiring, and then for some reason the paper decides to add on like, and by the way, Joe will never be as cool as Bill from high school.
Yeah.
It's like really unnecessary commentary in the situation.
Yeah.
So I'll just read a little snippet of this. So he says, and let's face it, Simon hasn't had any kind of hit in more than a decade, and he's hardly part of the cultural firmament anymore. At his age, looking down the barrel of his dwindling ability to perform, not to mention the unrelenting march of time and history that has already begun to make his music into little more than a period curio, it's probably the smart move to take the money and run.
Wow.
And then
you want to break something. You read that.
So then he goes on to make this argument that in 200 years, when people look back on the culture of like this era, that basically only the Beatles and Bob Dylan are going to be remembered or important. So after taking a swing at Paul Simon, he closes the article with this paragraph. That means Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and Bruce Springsteen, and of course Paul Simon, all giants in their day, will be no more than footnotes at best to Dylan and the Beatles. So just swinging at everybody on his way out the door there.
Yeah. Just taking pot shots.
Yeah. Just covering his eyes with his left hand and throwing punches with his right hand.
Yeah, if you think about it too, like he's also like passive aggressively taking a swing at like James Taylor by not taking a swing at him.
Yeah.
Like you don't even get to be in the footnote pile.
Yeah.
I just imagine like Paul Simon must have just been so happy to like, he's just sort of like, I've done good work my whole life. I'm cashing out. Like, I'm just going to kick back and enjoy retirement. And then he just gets hit in the face with an article like this.
I'm sure it really affected him.
It's just like, come on. And then meanwhile, Bruce Springsteen wakes up. He gets like a Google alert that he like popped up in some NBC News article.
Now I want to know more about. I want to look at this guy. It's in this article.
Yeah, I started
Articles by Jeff.
Yeah.
That's his thing. Articles by Jeff.
Oh boy.
Okay. Jeff Slate.
Well, now you've said his name, and people can go look at it. I feel like we're
sorry.
It's okay.
It came out really like naturally. It was a reaction when I saw. Now Jeff Slate, like I bet he has like a cleft chin, like a, Jeff Slate. He strikes me as the kind of guy who's got like a copy of Moby Dick on him at all times, like a surfboard by his bed, acoustic guitar, just so everyone thinks he's super interesting.
Playing Dave Matthews covers.
Yep, fucking Kona Shell.
Man.
Jeff Slate.
Yeah, I kind of expected to, when I Googled his name, expected to see like a whole thing of just like articles throwing people under the bus. But it looks like he just zeroed in on Paul Simon, from what I could tell, for some reason.
He seems to really like Bob Dylan, though.
Yeah.
He might be like a Bob Dylan burner account because he has a lot of articles that are like Bob Dylan's gospel, or he loved the like Frank Sinatra record that Dylan did.
I mean, what do you think Dylan's excitement was when he got that Google alert?
I'm going to go ahead and say he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't. That's true.
He didn't give a shit about what the media has to say. He never okay,
has.
So I think it's safe to say we'll all agree here. Like Bob Dylan is one of the most influential and important songwriters of all time. Mm-hmm. Fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No argument here.
Great.
I ride very hard for Bob Dylan in general.
Sure. I will say, from a personal standpoint, which I know that Jeff Slate will probably take issue with, pound for pound, though, for me, for this guy, if I open up the fridge and I've got, I've got a bottle of Bob and a cool can of Paul Simon, I'm going to crack that cool can of Simon. It's the flavor that works most for me more often than a bottle of Bob.
Well, I also think
that's with no disrespect said
No.
to Bob Dylan.
Like if you were, by yourself at night, you might uncork that bottle of Bob. Mm-hmm. But if you're like with your friends and you've got, you've got cups for everybody, you're going to pour from that can of Paul Simon because it's just more generally accessible and Yeah, more soothing, you know.
Can be. It can be more fun. It's certainly more fun.
It's way more fun.
And the lyrics are super clever. I think that Paul Simon's wordsmithery is I don't want to say unmatched, but like it's among the best.
Mm-hmm. He has a way of capturing in one sentence or one line, you know, things that can make you sit and think for hours.
Meanwhile, I don't think any of us actually know what the fuck Bob Dylan has ever said. I don't know what he's saying. What's he say? I don't know. Hamina good boo.
See, I wonder what...
I'm just kidding. By the way, BT dubs.
I wonder what you guys think about this, because I kind of feel like Paul Simon and Bob Dylan obviously have a lot of similarities. They kind of came from the same scene, but I feel like they're just totally different lanes. I like the idea that they would even really be compared to each other.
Yeah.
You know, I see Paul Simon more in like the Billy Joel, Randy Newman kind of lane, more so than the Dylan thing. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
No, I would agree, because he's also they both had their genesis in the, like, you know, the East Village folk
it's like the
scene,
Greenwich
right?
Village folk scene of
Greenwich
the early
Village,
60s. Yeah.
Right. Looks like somebody has a Wikipedia.
I do, but that one came from the brain.
But, you know, he clearly is like branched out so much since then and gone in, and not even in like Dylan-esque directions either. Mm-hmm. It's not like it echoes what Bob Dylan was doing at all. Mm-hmm. At all.
Yeah, once you get away from like acoustic guitars and folky lyrics, they have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, and even in that context, they really don't have a lot to do with each other, because like Paul Simon's playing some pretty crushingly hard chords and stuff. Like his, you know, he's not just. Again, I want to compliment Paul Simon without insulting Bob Dylan, you know, because I have a lot of love for Bob Dylan. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's just so different. There's a level of sophistication to Paul Simon's musicianship, mm-hmm. That I think that, you know, Dylan might even agree. Like, yeah, I can't play guitar like that, you know, like, which is okay, because you know Bob Dylan's legacy is, you know, safe, very safe. But to baselessly throw Paul Simon musically under the bus and dismiss him like that, and then also, as you said on the way out, just taking swings at everybody else.
Hey, by the way, Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, like, come on with Joni. Like, why?
Yeah.
What did she ever do? You know, negatively. I mean, I'm having a cup of detox tea because of that article.
Yeah, get the taste of that article out of your mouth.
Yeah. That's right. Yep. Trying to work it through. So we got on the phone all together and started expressing our dislike for this guy's dismissive approach to Paul Simon's whole career. Oh, okay. Look, now I'm looking at his art. This is so unfounded. It's not even worth it. In Esquire, he writes, "Tom Petty was always one of us." Like, okay, so Tom Petty's okay. Like, how could Tom Petty even sounds like Bob Dylan? Like, come on, can't have it both ways, Jeff.
Sounds like he's just throwing at the wall and trying to see what sticks. I mean, unfortunately, this Paul Simon article is probably his most read article, just because it leans toward the negative. People seem to feed on that.
A lot of angry baby boomers, clickbait.
Yeah. Worked on me too. No, it didn't work on me.
I was just reminded, though, that the Simon & Garfunkel did cover "The Times They Are Changing" on their first album, for whatever that's worth.
They did, and
probably. Go ahead, please.
I was going to say they also do a version of Peggy-O, which Bob Dylan also does on his first album.
Yep.
And they're both completely different. Even like both of them doing folk, it's like the Simon & Garfunkel version is very like pretty with like nice harmonies and melodies, and the Bob Dylan version sounds like he just like set up a mic in a room and played it as fast as he could and left. Like their vibes, even at the beginning, I feel like are from totally different angles.
Mm-hmm. We could easily do a whole show on the monumental achievements of Bob Dylan, right? But after hearing this article paraphrased, even, what do you fellas say we take the time to make the case for Paul Simon?
It works for me.
I'm here for it.
Just in case he hasn't made a case for himself with his decades of excellent music, which apparently he hasn't.
Right.
This guy.
Apparently not. And I also am fully ready for this show not to get any listens or likes because it's speaking positively about someone's output. Maybe we should the case against Jeff.
Yeah. Take this, Jeff.
I believe we all prepared a list of our favorite Paul Simon songs.
Yes.
I believe we did.
What do you say we get into that list? Those lists.
Let's do it.
Peter, you're our guest. We're glad you're here. Please, you want to kick us off with a tune?
Sure. So my introduction to Paul Simon is sort of, I came in through the back door a little bit. I grew up in San Diego, like in the 90s, and there was a lot of that, like pop punk was kind of in vogue. So there was this band called Me First and the Gimme Gimmes that would do these like pop punk covers of like old songs. And so the first time I heard I Am a Rock, it was this pop punk cover of it. And I kind of worked backwards to get to the Paul Simon version. But so I Am a Rock is my first song that I chose. Nice. And it was my entry point, as I said. And 15-year-old me was definitely like feeling the message. Like I was like, yeah, man, this guy gets it. I'm a rock. It's lonely being young,
Yeah. I mean, I felt like an island all of this year. So
I thought you were going to maybe cite the Lemonheads' Mrs. Robinson.
That's where I thought you were going to.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
Spencer.
Yeah. Yes.
I recall going to a York High School production of Godspell, and you singing "I Am a Rock." That's the only thing I remember from that. Like, not as a song in the show, but just like, I can't even remember how you applied it. I just remember you singing I'm a Rock. Does that ring a bell at all?
I've kind of blocked the whole Godspell thing out.
Fair enough. Sorry to bring it back.
A lot of overalls, No shirts and overalls. Like when Mr. Show did their take on Godspell.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't seen, starring Jack Black as what was his name? Like Jeebus Kreitz or Jiminy Christmas or something.
Yeah.
Jeezum Crow.
Jeezum Crow, that was it.
It's like, yeah, that's pretty much Godspell. So no, I don't remember that, but I was a fan of Paul Simon at the time, so it does track. Was it part of the show? Like, did I do it within the context of the show?
You did it in the context of the show, and you did it maybe like 3 times throughout the show. And I mean, I would imagine that it's not in the script. You probably brought that to the table.
No, that sounds something like more awkward that the director would have thrown in there.
That is true.
That sounds embarrassing to me.
Well, because I remember it more than you do. So yeah, maybe you were trying to forget it, and it just sticks out in my mind.
Well,
anyway, sorry.
I guess I'll save that for
we can
move on next therapy session. Thanks,
or until the VHS that somebody has of that production shows up somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start this Paul Simon playlist. I'll call it The Case for Paul Simon.
Excellent.
I just want to walk you through everything that I'm doing, live tweeting my life experience to you. So that was not Like a Rock, but I Am a Rock.
I Am a Rock.
A rock. There it is, off of the, what album is that off?
I think it's on Sound of Silence, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
The second one they put out.
Yep. All right. It's on the list.
All right.
What else you got, Donovan?
So my second one is from Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. A little tune called Cloudy.
Ooh.
I like it.
Nice.
Which I really... So when we were talking earlier, we were kind of in agreement that one of the things we like about Paul Simon is that his music's really fun. And I feel like early on in the Simon and Garfunkel era, it's not as fun. It's a little heavy-handed. Mm-hmm. See, I Am a Rock. But then, he starts to open up, and I feel like Cloudy is kind of a step in that direction on one of the earlier records, where he's starting to have a little more fun.
I mean, they were called Tom and Jerry after all.
Oh, that's true.
To start. I'm glad they went with Simon and Garfunkel. Mainly because it's their names. Cloudy. That's a great choice.
Yep.
Jones, you want to fire a couple in the bucket?
Sure. I am going to start off with this is one of my favorite songs ever, Train in the Distance.
Oh, it's on my list. It's in the movie.
Bet you wish you didn't sleep through me announcing it.
It's my number one Paul Simon song if I had to choose one.
I mean, it was the first song that when I started making this list, I was like, Train in the Distance. It's so good. And I love just the backing vocals at the end where it kind of sounds like a train too. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
A poignant telling of a poignant account of the various phases of divorce, really.
Well, a lot of that's from the Hearts and Bones record, right? And a lot of that album covers that territory, I think.
Was that the post-Carrie Fisher album?
That's right. Yeah.
That was supposed to be a Simon and Garfunkel record.
That is. That was
right.
After the concert in the park. They talked about doing another Simon and Garfunkel record, and they started Hearts and Bones and started fighting again, and became a Paul Simon record.
Yeah, I don't think I want to meet either of those guys.
Yeah, maybe not.
And I don't think I want to be in the same room with both of them for sure.
Yeah, definitely not.
I wonder what they would fight about. Was it just musical differences?
I don't know, because they were like frenemies from the start. Like, as you said, they were Tom and Jerry before they were Simon and Garfunkel. They actually had a minor hit, which I believe was called Hey Schoolgirl. Then they broke up. They got back together as Simon and Garfunkel.
It sounds like Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Well, it is. Yeah, they got back together as Simon and Garfunkel. They did Wednesday Morning 3 a.m., which came out and was a flop. They broke up again. Paul Simon went to England and did his Paul Simon Songbook album. And then while they were gone, the name of the producer is escaping me. It was actually Bob Dylan's producer. Tom.
Oh, right.
Tom, what's his name?
Dowd.
It was not Tom Dowd.
Sure was.
It was not.
Let me be right.
Because this guy's name is really important because he was
I'll look it up.
A black record producer doing folk music in the early 60s.
Didn't he produce like a Rolling Stone?
I believe he did. But while after Simon and Garfunkel broke up, I think the Byrds came out with their version of whatever Dylan song probably. And so he had the idea to take the Sounds of Silence.
Tom Wilson?
Tom Wilson, that's right. Yeah, he had the idea to take The Sounds of Silence, which had been on Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. as just an acoustic duo song, and he overdubbed the drums and the bass and electric guitar on it and re-released it as a single, and it became a huge hit. And so then Simon and Garfunkel got back together to go through the rest of their thing. But they'd already broken up multiple times before they even had their first hit. So.
Well, I don't mean to cut in line, but you just mentioned Sound of Silence, and that's on my list.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yep. And by of course, mean the Disturbed version.
Yeah, of course. Naturally.
I stumbled into that. I had never heard that until a couple of days ago.
Oh, I just assumed you were joking. I didn't realize that was actually a thing.
Oh,
it's a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. It's to be avoided.
Yeah.
So what did they fight about? Well, I feel like, I've seen a lot of interviews and read a lot of interviews with Art Garfunkel, and firstly, sings like an angel.
Oh, yeah.
What a voice.
What a voice.
But it also seems like maybe he might have somewhat of an inflated sense of self-worth within the context of Simon and Garfunkel. is the vibe I get.
That could be, but I mean, I've also actually, Donovan, you were sending me that Art Garfunkel thing the other night where he was talking about feeling sidelined by Paul Simon a lot. Actually,
Well, he's
because Paul Simon wrote everything.
All the songs. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, sorry, Donovan, you probably had something more intelligent to say than what I said.
Well, I just think it's kind of a funny dynamic because it's like Hearts and Bones, for example. They had, they were planning to release that as Simon and Garfunkel. Art Garfunkel recorded a bunch of vocals on it, and then Paul Simon basically was like, "Never mind. Like, you're not going to make $1 billion next year because there's not going to be a Simon and Garfunkel record. We're deleting you off the album." And then, Garfunkel just has to go back to his life, hoping that Paul Simon wants to do a concert in Central Park again 10 years down the road or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, that must not feel great.
Actually, I just found this quote that you sent me the other night, Donovan. I'm not sure what it's from. You didn't send me the source. Oh, wait. It says it right in this piece, actually. During a chat with American songwriter Garfunkel was praised at earning a standing ovation every time he sings the Simon-written masterpiece, Bridge Over Troubled Water. Garfunkel explained, "Paul's just a great writer, and when his great writing happens for me, in my heart and mind, I deliver the exciting song. A good singer, that would be me, makes a powerful song. I started thinking what Paul was really talking about. It's very sad that we don't talk, too. Some of his lines kill me. In The Sounds of Silence, the fourth verse, silence like a cancer grows. We never speak these days, Paul and I. And yet he wrote, silence like a cancer grows. It's sad how true it was years later. Bridge Over Troubled Water has these things. I'll be your friend when you're in trouble. Well, I'm in trouble now that I'm 78, Paul. If Paul's supposed to be my friend, give me a phone call, Paul."
Oh, my God.
He's crying out for help. So I have a Paul Simon quote. This was from 2016. He was on NPR, and they asked about a reunion. And he said, "Quite honestly, we don't get along. So it's not like it's fun. If it was fun, I'd say, okay, sometimes we'll go out and sing old songs in harmony. That's cool. But when it's not fun, and you're going to be in a tense situation, well, then I have a lot of musical areas that I like to play in. So that'll never happen again. That's that."
Oh,
Fair.
sounds pretty final.
Yep. Well, you mentioned Bridge Over Troubled Water, also was on my list, so I put it on the playlist.
Right on. That was also on my list. So there we go.
Yep. Was it on your list, Donovan?
It was not, but I have a song from that album on my list.
Why don't you jump in? I also have another song from that album. I wonder if it's the same one.
So many good songs on that album, but
yeah.
My selection was Keep the Customer Satisfied.
Nice.
Oh, it's a great one. Mine was So Long, Frank Lloyd Wright.
Ooh, nice. I'm realizing you kind of can't go wrong with these guys, can you?
No, especially that album.
Yeah. Well, I have multiple songs from the Bookends album.
Ooh.
Okay. Get after it.
Well, I have Old Friends / Bookends, which that just makes me feel sad for Garfunkel.
Because it's just a big lie.
Just all the guy wants is a phone call, man.
Just hook him up with a phone call.
I feel like the tone of this show is changing.
Yeah. I also have Faking It from Bookends.
It's a good one.
Oh, actually, and I guess I'll hog the spotlight here for a second because I forgot to mention another song from Bridge Over Troubled Water before I switched to Bookends. The Only Living Boy in New York, which is also a swipe at Art Garfunkel.
That's also on my list.
That was
there's a line on that song that I quote daily. I think you and I are talking about that, Jones.
That's right.
Got me through the pandemic. It did, which is I get all the news I need from the weather report.
That's all right there.
It's all right there.
I guess Art Garfunkel was in the movie Catch-22, and he was off filming that while Paul Simon was writing songs for Bridge Over Troubled Water and feeling like he'd been abandoned. And that's why the Tom he's referring to is the Tom of Tom and Jerry fame, Art Garfunkel. So, Tom, get your plane on time, all that stuff.
I was
sounds mean.
Yeah.
I was looking up some other of their reviews to see if they got any more Jeff Slate like scathing reviews, and Robert Christou, I think is how you pronounce his name, from The Village Voice. He's kind of the famous rock critic. That's
and he writes shitty reviews about everything and everyone.
He's just cantankerous.
He'll be like, "This album sucks, B+."
So for Bridge Over Troubled Water, I mean, this is like it was the best-selling album 3 years in a row when it came out. I mean, this is like an all-time album. Mm-hmm. His review in The Village Voice was melodic, B.
Wow.
It's like something out of Spinal Tap.
Yeah, that's actually a positive review from him.
I mean, I think the only questionable track on Bridge Over Troubled Water would be Bye Bye Love, which is still awesome.
Yeah. Still awesome.
Another one for my list from that album would be Cecilia.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Get out of here with that song.
I think, Spencer, we share a great memory with that song. And our friend Sean Moran, who is unfamiliar with this song at one time.
Yes. Yes, we had this band that was huge. And
like huge
certainly
in numbers,
influenced
not
by
the charts.
Yeah, no, it was big. It was really big. We were told that we were going to be the next Jeff Slate. And yeah, so certainly informed by Paul Simon melodically. You know, there's a lot of that kind of like that melancholy in it. And we were talking about the song Cecilia, and Sean Moran was like, "No, I don't know that song." We're like, "Oh, come on, of course you do. It's like it's everywhere. It's in the air. It's like it's free. It's like you can't. There's no way you haven't heard the song." He's like, "No, I don't know it." And like I started like playing it like with the guitar on, singing it, and went so far as like by the end of it, we played the whole song all the way through, including like the which my sister played on glockenspiel, and we're all harmonizing. We'd never played the song before together, or I don't even think I've even played it like by myself, you know. But we all just do it. And he sat there very patiently and waited until he finished what I remember to be a pretty excellent version of the tune.
That's how it stands in my memory. Is we killed it.
And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know that song." All right, weird.
So, do you guys have a favorite Simon and Garfunkel record, or is it?
It's probably Bridge Over Troubled Water for me.
Yeah, I feel like that and Bookends are the two that I go to the most.
Sure.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, I mean those two are pretty undeniable.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they're solid. I mean, they're airtight.
I mean, they're really both 10 out of 10 in my book.
I agree. Yeah. I'll throw a little solo Simon in the mix.
Please do.
And I'll get pretty modern-ish.
Ooh.
Not really. It's still 20 years old. 25 years. Obvious Child off of Rhythm of the Saints.
Ooh.
Nice. I knew that you were going to pick that one.
Yeah. Because you know me and you know I love that song.
That's right.
I love the story. It's just a great story.
I have a little trivia about that album. So there was a guitar player from the Congo named Rigo Starr who played on that album. And the liner notes erroneously credited him as Ringo Starr.
Oh, no shit.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
It's probably
his
like
disappointment.
Whatever the late 80s version of autocorrect was. It's like, surely you mean Ringo.
Yep. Like I just did like a collaboration with a pretty successful not main bass, but a main artist that I'm hoping to get like, if I got like an on Instagram, I'd be like, sweet. But can you imagine like, I played on this Paul Simon record, you go get the copy, like you know, your family knows, like, ooh, you open it up, it's like Ringo.
Meanwhile, Ringo's getting a Google alert. He's just like, what?
And he's getting offered to play guitar on sessions. It's like, I like to play the drums.
Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. And while we're in solo Paul Simon land, I would also throw out, when I said Train in the Distance is my number one choice for, like, if you had to choose one song from Paul Simon, and that's the only one you get, or that's the song that you explain Paul Simon's music to aliens with, or something like that. I also feel the same way about Still Crazy After All These Years.
So good.
Beautifully played, beautiful melodies, beautiful singing, and one of my favorite pieces of arrangement, like string arrangement ever, is on that. There's just like this little bit in the before the sax solo. No, it's in the sax solo where the band just had done this like little hit, like boom, da da dun dun da da, and that the strings follow it so perfectly. I don't know if it was like planned from the start, but it's just like it's the tiniest little detail, but it really gets me lathered up.
Have you seen? There's a clip of Paul Simon from not the Mike Douglas show, but contemporary talk show.
Graham Norton.
No, the guy, the one who's in Beetlejuice.
The one who's in Beetlejuice talk show?
Man, I thought that
Alec
you would.
Baldwin?
Nope. I thought that you would. That would be the giveaway.
Michael.
Soft-spoken, very good.
Oh, Dick Cavett.
Dick Cavett. Thank you. Yes. So there's a clip of Paul Simon on the Dick Cavett show, and Dick Cavett asks him how he writes songs. And generally, artists when they're asked that just give a generic like, "Oh, I just get an idea and I work it out." But he actually picks up his guitar, and at that point, Still Crazy After All These Years hadn't come out yet. But he started using that song as an example of how he writes songs. And he plays through the first half, and he's like, okay, at this point, like my melody has gone to these places, and I've used these chords, so I want to put a bridge here. I can go here. Like he hadn't finished working out the song yet. And it was probably, at least a year before the finished version of the song. But it's really fascinating to watch him pull apart his own song that he hasn't even finished writing yet, that now is an all-time classic. I love that somebody in the comments on the YouTube video underneath, though, was like, what if when he got to the bridge, Dick Cavett was like, what if you put in like a sax solo instead?
Which is what happened.
Which is what happened.
I just watched a Dick Cavett interview the other day with Richard Pryor. And Dick Cavett was not that Richard Pryor was not being mean or anything, but I forget. It was a conversation based in. Oh, I think the question was white writers writing for black actors, and like, do you like that? And I got to say, like, I did feel bad for Dick Cavett. Like, he ended up down like this like rabbit hole, and Richard Pryor's like, I just don't know what you're talking about. He's like, well, this. He's like, I just don't. What do you mean? What are you talking about? He's just like suffering out there. He's just trying to like, anyway, that's a nice memory. I like Dick Cavett's interviews because I really feel like he can. That conversation, it did end up going somewhere, but because Richard Pryor's a genius to talk to, and Dick Cavett, I think he's like one of the great interviewers
for sure.
Yeah, because Paul Simon's like also kind of notoriously cold to the press, right? Mm-hmm. He has a lot of like, yeah, no.
Well, I'm sure that's probably what Dick Cavett asked or had in mind when he asked him that question. He's probably like, oh, he's just going to give me the generic answer. I did not expect him to actually walk him through the process like in a very detailed manner.
Right.
But
how do you feel about Dick Cavett, Donovan?
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
More importantly, how does Jeff Slate feel about Dick Cavett? We get that scathing article.
Speaking of TV, have you guys seen the Muppet Show episode with Paul Simon?
Ooh, no. Not yet. I've been going through it in order, but I have not got to that yet.
Same.
Yeah.
It's pretty excellent.
Same. Yeah, I bet. Because he's also really funny.
But actually,
the whole singing Still Crazy After All These Years in a turkey costume on SNL.
I have seen some of the clips from the Muppet Show because he plays Long Long Day, which is off One Trick Pony, which is one of my favorite albums.
That's a nice one. Soundtrack, right?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Donovan?
He's hosted SNL, I think, like 3 or 4 times.
Many times, yeah.
He's kind of like a semi-regular on there.
He and Lorne Michaels, I think, share a history. So yeah, he was like an early go-to when Speaking of that, that's where George Harrison and Paul Simon teamed up for. I think they did "Homeward Bound" and "Here Comes the Sun."
Here Comes the Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty excellent.
Did I miss any songs while we were talking about all that stuff?
No, but I'll throw out another song from "Still Crazy After All These Years."
Yes.
It maybe is a little bit of a deeper cut, but it's one of my favorites. Called "I Do It for Your Love."
That's that really like dirty, like funky, like Barry White style.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's actually just like a soft melodic, great lyrics about shared experiences with someone you love.
But it's got that like nasty like wah guitar, right? We're thinking of the right song.
No, you might be thinking of Wild Cherry.
Yeah, I'm thinking of no Paul Simon songs that fit that description. Thank God. That would be awkward.
But yeah, I Do It For Your Love. It's a fantastic song, and I love his version of it, which he actually does on the Paul Simon special, which Lorne Michaels produced and is very funny. But also Karen Carpenter does a pretty cool version of I Do It For Your Love. So
she's super cool. While we're hanging out on Still Crazy After All These Years, I'll also throw in 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover.
Ooh, excellent. That's the one with the funky wah guitar.
Yeah, but it's not like not like I'd do it for your love. Not like that. Not that dirty, that deep. You got deep Memphis.
Dirty, sexy stankiness.
Yeah, you can smell it.
Yeah. That is definitely not a single Paul Simon song. Donovan, would you like to put something on the table?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on Spence's last choice. There's something about when Paul Simon sings with like an electric piano that just really works for me. It's just like something soothing about the way his voice sounds. So in that vein, I'm going to go with Something So Right.
Ooh, nice. So
yeah.
And
you're not wrong.
I love the wordplay in the chorus. I think is excellent in this song. Just like the vibe is great.
Mm-hmm. Can't get used to Something So Right.
A little boy, won't you lay your body down?
Wait, that's a different song, isn't it? No, that's St. Judy's Comet. Is what you're thinking.
That's right. That's right. I love the lyric in St. Judy's Comet. I'm just gonna, it wasn't on my list. I'm putting it in there.
Yeah. I have another song from that album, actually.
That line about like if I can't sing my boy to sleep, it makes your famous daddy look so dumb. is a great bit. Yeah. Something So Right. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's from There Goes Rhymin' Simon, I believe.
That's right.
Which is his second solo album. And another tune from that album that I love so much is American Tune. That's on my list.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think, like, is that feels like the kind of song like Art Garfunkel would have sung, right? If they were still together?
You'd think so, but they do it on the concert in the park, and I don't believe Art sings on that song. Because there are like a lot of other songs from the Paul Simon solo catalog that they do at the concert in the park that Art Garfunkel sings on, but I think Paul Simon takes that one for himself on there.
Well, there's actually a story behind American Tune, and Donovan, you're not far off. There's actually like some video footage of it where Garfunkel came into the studio. He invited them in to sing on that song because he's also on My Little Town. Still Crazy,
that's a great
right?
song.
So American Tune, Paul Simon had him sing it, and he was singing the lead, and they finally get it right, and he comes in to listen, and he's like, "Yeah, do you like that, Art?" He's like, "Yeah, I love it." He's like, "Cool, erase it."
Oh.
And then he just stood there and watched it, and had the engineer erase his track in real time, and just stared him in the eyes the whole time. I'm kidding. That's not what happened. But I know.
The weird thing is, like, I believe that is possible.
Yeah.
Because he did wipe all his tracks from Hearts and Bones. Yeah.
I just wanted you to know that you can't sing this song. I wanted you to know that you can, but I'm going to erase it and sing it.
My Little Town not only appears on Still Crazy After All These Years, but the Art Garfunkel record, Breakaway, which is great, Also
One of the greatest
includes
album
that song.
covers of all time.
Yeah, it's pretty
Really?
great.
It's him in like a club lounge with just like ladies all over him. Isn't it like his shirt's like unbuttoned?
It's like exactly the same cover that Pete Townsend did for Empty Glass.
Oh, wow.
It's like who wore it better? I believe you said, Donovan.
Wore it better.
I have another track from There Goes Rhyme and Simon.
Ooh,
I'm still looking up. Oh, yeah. I know this album cover. I'm going to say Pete Townsend wore it better. You got another one from There Goes Rhyme and Simon?
Yeah, Love Me Like a Rock.
Yep.
Nice.
It was, yep.
So he recorded those in Muscle Shoals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the story I heard was that he heard "I'll Take You There" that's Staple Singers, right?
Yep.
I believe so.
So he heard that song and then called up the studio and was like, "I want the band that played on that track," and then went down and recorded. Which sort of feels like a precursor to Graceland, where he kind of hears something and then zooms in and tries to get those same musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an example of that too with "So Long, Frank Lloyd Wright." I mean, that to me that could very easily be like a on a Gets Gilberto album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Loves Me Like a Rock. That was a family favorite. We used to listen to that around the dinner table and rewind it when it was over. Mm-hmm. There's this great compilation that maybe y'all had called "Negotiations and Love Songs."
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when I really I've gotten into the the individual albums since, but that hits compilation was
Yeah.
because it wasn't just hits; it was just good stuff.
There's negotiations and love songs.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah, that was my gateway into solo Paul Simon as well.
Mm-hmm.
Was that compilation?
Mm-hmm.
Loves Me Like a Rock also has, was it the Dixie Hummingbirds? I think that sing all the
Was that the home?
yeah, and the When I Was a Boy. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Na 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 na. Sorry.
It's all right. You're excused.
Was that them? What else you got, Donovan?
Let's see. Oh,
Hold on. While we're on this record, I'm realizing that I have another one from this record, which is Kodachrome,
yeah, that's
excellent.
which I actually remember reading a review of a George Harrison song when I was a kid, and they actually like weaponized the song Kodachrome to insult the George Harrison song. I'm just like,
Was it a Jeff Slade article?
it was Jay Slate, Jay Slate.
Said George Harrison is destined to live in the shadow of Kodachrome by Paul Simon.
That's right. That's right. George Harrison will be nothing but a footprint to Paul Simon's Kodachrome. Jeff. I'm sorry. So back to you, Donovan.
So I actually listened to Hearts and Bones for the first time yesterday.
Wow.
That somehow that album was not on my radar. And I thought it was excellent. So I have a couple songs from that album.
Nice. That's quick to your top 10 from your first listen.
Yeah,
Into it.
So the first song that, I mean, obviously the title track is great, but the first song that really grabbed me was the first "Think Too Much."
Mm-hmm. Think too much.
With, like,
B.
Yeah, it's a lot of just like marimba,
Yeah.
and just like the chorus is really catchy, and so yeah, "Think Too Much" B.
Nice.
It's definitely on my list.
It's on the list. And really, yeah, the title track really needs to be on the list.
Yeah, it does. You just
Was
throw it
it-
on there.
Yeah, it's just in there. Anything else off that album, Donovan?
The other one is Renee and Georgette,
Oh, man.
Great choice.
After the War.
Yep.
So I saw Paul Simon when he did his like farewell tour or whatever, and he had just he did an album, right, where he like re-recorded some of his older songs.
Yeah, like rearranged stuff. Yeah.
So he played that song when I saw him, Renee and Georgette, because I think it's on the new album that he did. And that was the first time that I had heard that song. And it always stuck with me. So then listening back to it on Hearts and Bones, it just reminded me how much I love that song.
I just love how long the title is.
And it's somehow a super catchy hook, like vocally.
Yeah.
It's like the wordiest chorus, but it's really catchy somehow.
It's a great story. He's such a great storyteller. You can just really... he just paints a picture. And it's funny how, like, seemingly defensive he is and, you know, standoffish even, but, like, he can sing. I find a lot of his... I find a lot of his lyrics to be superhuman and very relatable.
Yeah, he's very... I feel like the other thing that's very different between him and Bob Dylan is, like, Paul Simon it seems like he wants to please. Like, he wants to make music that people enjoy. You know, he's kind of like, he's got that, like, conversational tone where it's kind of like, it feels more like your buddy. And
yeah.
you like, and Bob Dylan feels more like the cool kid that, like, kind of hates you, but, like, you can't help but like him. Like, he wants to have this sort of, like, adversarial relationship sometimes with his fans. Whereas I feel like Paul Simon is very much just like, I want to make the best sounding music sonically. I want it to be melodic. You know, I want the words to have meaning, and I want you to have a good time while you're listening to my music.
I should also note that we've the internet has swallowed Jones, so it's just you and I for a minute.
Oh,
which should we come up with a game for him to play when he's back? Like, should we have him like guess what we're talking about? Maybe let's see if it's an object. We'll say maybe we could describe to him without using the actual name of the object, like maybe it's like a crock pot. This just in from Zach. Apparently the internet connection just dropped out in York.
Wow.
This is breaking news here on the show. This doesn't happen very often.
Should we switch over to our top 10 Art Garfunkel solo songs?
Yeah, you want to jump over there? Number 1. Pete Townsend's Let My Love Open the Door. Do you have... I mean, we can kind of like carry on maybe in Zach's absence because we're still talking about these tunes.
Yeah, let's see what else is on. I mean, so you said you really like Hearts and Bones, right? Like that's...
I really do, yeah. It's like I think it's one of his... It's kind of his, for me, like underrated period with a lot of my favorite songs.
I was reading something kind of interesting because that album was a commercial failure.
That's right.
And I was reading an interview where Paul Simon was saying that he really thought the songwriting was good, but he felt like the production kind of betrayed the songs, which is why people didn't like it. And after that album, he made the conscious choice to switch the way he writes songs, where it was like, I'm going to make the track first, which is sort of what he did with Graceland, you know, where it's like get a rhythm or a musical piece, and then I'll kind of write melodies or words over that versus like, here's my song on an acoustic guitar, like let's arrange it for a band.
Right.
So that's kind of one of those weird sliding door moments, I feel like, because like if that record was successful, you know, he might have never changed up his approach.
It's true.
And certainly if it had stayed as a Simon and Garfunkel record, I mean, that would have totally been a different reality.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of, don't get me, I love Simon and Garfunkel, but I'm happy with this being a Paul Simon album.
Oh, I definitely agree. I think it's, I mean, and he said this in interviews too, where it's like he could just free up his songwriting so much more when he doesn't have to worry about writing like for a duo.
Constant harmony.
Yeah, and he has that like, there's that looseness in his solo stuff where he's kind of riffing, you know, and he's like real wordy and stuff that wouldn't really work with that over harmonizing stuff.
I agree. Another tune that I'll put on the list is from the album that Jones had mentioned earlier, One Trick Pony, and it would be Late in the Evening. Are you familiar with that one?
So that was another one that I hadn't listened to previously. I did listen to it yesterday. I I didn't dislike the album. It just didn't really grab me right off the bat, I guess, on first listen.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. And I'll be interested to hear what Jones says about it. I think he might be back, actually.
I am, and
that's great. So we kind of kept talking while you were away.
That's fair enough.
So this just in, folks. Zach Jones' internet has restored. He's back. He's back now.
Back online.
Zach's back.
That's right.
So yeah, we were talking about. I just added late in the evening to the list.
Excellent.
Donovan was saying that he listened to that album, didn't really grab him. I'm kind of in the same boat when it comes to that album as a body of work, but you had mentioned that it's one of your favorites.
I do. I ride hard for One Trick Pony.
Ride hard.
I ride hard for it. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's probably one of the last Paul Simon records that I connected to when I was younger. And maybe part of the reason I connect to it so hard now is because, so yeah, it's the soundtrack to the movie that he wrote and stars in of the same name. And it's very much about like the touring musician's experience. And
have you seen the movie, Jones?
I have, yeah. And it's really good. I mean, it's obviously his acting at times leaves a little bit to be desired, but
is it as good as Give My Regards to Broad Street?
It's much better than Give My Regards to Broad Street.
That's weird because that movie is pretty much 5-star. Like,
yeah,
the Citizen Kane of aging 60s musicians.
5 stars for me to poop on.
Poop on.
No, One Trick Pony. He plays a musician who had a hit in the 60s and has not had a hit since then, which is kind of similar to where, I mean, when One Trick Pony came out, I think Paul Simon hadn't had a hit since, I mean, it had only been like 3 or 4 years, but for him that had probably felt like eternity. But yeah, it's this guy, he's like, touring in a van with his band, and he's got a wife and kid at home who are not psyched that he's gone. And so it just kind of plays in that whole thing. Like, there's one point they pull up to a venue that's closed, which I think actually happens to us one time,
yes.
Spencer. So indeed. Yeah. And the songs all connect with that too. Like there's God Bless the Absentee, where again, he's talking about, his work taking him away from the family, and obviously Late in the Evening kind of captures the whole like playing in a club when you're young and have all that energy and excitement.
I stepped outside and smoked myself a J.
Which is funny because on his most recent album, he has a song called Wristband. And in the song, he steps outside to check his email, and then he can't get back into the venue because he doesn't have his wristband on.
Right.
And I remember when that song first posted, I think he posted a video on Facebook or something. Somebody was like, man, how times have changed. At one point, you stepped outside to smoke yourself a J, and when you went back inside, you blew that room away. Like, now you step outside to check your email, and you can't even get back into the venue.
He did blow that room away.
I thought that new album is excellent.
Yeah, it's very good. I need to spend more time with it. It was one, I think, like you just said about One Trick Pony, it didn't totally connect with me the first couple times.
Yeah.
So I need to maybe give it a couple more spins.
The thing about Paul Simon though is like I feel like his floor is pretty high. Like even One Trick Pony, which didn't grab me necessarily, but like it's a very enjoyable listening experience. Like it's always very pleasurable to listen to his music.
Yeah. I actually I put the title track from One Trick Pony on the list, and really that's just because I love that whole record, and
it goes on the list then. Yeah. I also had one more to heap on from the Still Crazy album, which is Have a Good Time.
Oh yes, yeah, that's a great one.
Yes,
that's why it just breaks into a crazy like bebop jazz solo at the end, right?
Does it?
Yeah, it's like the actual track ends and then the saxophone player just like free riffs like over the fade out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, okay. So I thought I was picturing like vocal bebop jazz.
Yeah, no.
Sweet.
So I don't know where you guys are at, but I still have 2 songs I have not put out there yet.
I feel like I exceeded my 10 by just like seeing song titles, just like heaping them on the pile.
That's fine. You can't really go wrong.
But whatever. What do you got, Jones?
So I forgot to include this when we were talking about our Simon and Garfunkel songs, but America was one that I had.
Yeah.
And then from Graceland, my favorite song is Under African Skies. So
That was on my
That's
list.
a nice one.
nice.
That's with Linda Ronstadt, right? Is that the one she sang on?
Yes.
That's right.
Too
That's
much,
like
too much
two
controversy.
great tastes that taste great.
That's
together.
right. That did cause controversy, didn't it?
Yeah, because she had there was artists were going into South Africa to perform, and they were getting kind of blacklisted.
Well, it's because there was a cultural boycott against South
Yeah.
Africa during apartheid, and Paul Simon very much violated that when he went there to make an album. Yeah.
Good album though.
Yes. Were you, did you have more to add before I interrupted you, Donovan?
No, just that he was already dealing with that controversy, like you said, and then a lot of people felt like it was kind of like a slap in the face to bring Linda Ronstadt on top of that because she had performed there against the boycott also. But
Here's a sentence I thought I'd never. Or here's a few words I never thought I would have heard in the same sentence, which is Linda Ronstadt in controversy. Controversy aside, what a voice!
Oh, what a voice! Great singer.
What a voice!
love me some Linda Ronstadt.
The Graceland tour videos that they used to play on VH1 all the time. I'm not sure the South African vocalist who sings that song with him on that, but she's amazing too, and that live version is fantastic.
Hey, I have a fun fact for you, Phil. Do we have any more songs to pile on the list?
That was everything from my list.
I had a couple more.
Yeah, hit me.
Let's see.
Been batting 1,000 so far.
My other Graceland song was Crazy Love Volume 2.
Oh, nice.
That's a nice one.
Which apparently he just put the part 2 on there because there's so many songs called Crazy Love. He wanted to make sure he got all his royalties, which I guess now Sony can thank him for.
And
And then the last
You know
one I
what?
had was... Oh,
Yep.
go ahead, Spence.
I was going to even say from Graceland, I Know What I Know.
I don't want to...
What do you mean I kind of remind you of money?
Yep. That's who am I to blow against the wind? What did you have, Donovan?
my last one was Slip Sliding Away.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, does the title track to Graceland go on the list?
I mean, why not? It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. And Donovan, you said Slip Sliding Away.
Yeah. Nothing from the Broadway musical, Jones?
Hitman?
I did not include anything from the Cape Man, but there actually is some good stuff on there. I mean,
There's some great songs on
yeah,
there.
it is jarring to hear him using like 50s racial slang in his nice, pretty voice and melodic songs. And I guess that story was pretty controversial, or his whole approach to it. But yeah, I mean, it's Paul Simon writing songs. It's awesome.
Yeah.
was the
Trailways
quote?
Bus would be my pick from the Cape Man album if I were to put
Which one would be?
Trailways Bus. I think it's the last song or second to last song on the Songs from the Cape Man.
I'm looking it up right now.
What was the review I sent you, Jones? It was like, Cape Man opens to protests and generally negative reviews. It's like the worst worst way to open a sentence about some artistic work.
That he spent years and years producing.
Yeah, who wrote that?
For those in the audience who are unfamiliar with the Cape Man, apparently there was a Puerto Rican child. I think he was maybe either first generation or an immigrant. But in the 50s in Hell's Kitchen, New York, he was a member of a gang, and he wore a cape. But he stabbed 2 Irish kids and killed them. Went to prison where he was reformed and educated and became a poet, and a generally praised poet, and also spoke out against violence and all that. Like, totally reformed guy. And Paul Simon remembered the incident from when he was a kid, wrote a whole musical about it. But the big controversy, I mean, I think there was a little bit of like cultural appropriation accusations thrown at him, but there was also the
A
families.
recurring theme in his career.
Yes, that is a recurring theme in his career. There's also the families of the victims of Salvador Agron, I think was his name, were like, this guy killed our family members, and you're writing this whole musical about him. So, yeah, I think that show only was on Broadway for 68 performances before it was canceled.
I read that Paul Simon lost $11 million Like he fronted a lot of money personally for that show.
That stinks.
Yeah.
I saw my first 3 concerts in this order was Paul McCartney, and then Pink Floyd, and then Paul Simon on the Rhythm of the Saints tour. And I got to see Paul Simon with Steve Gadd, which was a pleasure. And I also the size of the venue that I saw him in would make you blush. It was, there used to be it was like under 10,000 capacity ballpark in Old Orchard Beach where they used to have concerts.
Oh man,
it's like so there's just nowhere you could stand in that venue and not see Paul Simon with your eyes. You know, like it was just there he was.
I saw Paul Simon twice, both times at the Hollywood Bowl. The first time I remember being kind of underwhelmed. Like it just seemed like he was just having one of those nights where he wasn't quite feeling it, or I don't know what the deal was, but it didn't quite live up to my expectation. And then he came back around again on his farewell tour, and I went again, and it was amazing. Like everything, any critiques I had from the first time, like he erased them that second time. So
I think it's safe to say that this list, which you can find the link in our Instagram, whatever, through our link tree,
linktree.com/SAZETU. But yeah,
linktree.com/SAZETU. We'll put it in there. Page. And if you were reading Jeff's article and you're like, wait a minute, is that true? I'm looking at, like 30 or 40 songs that say, no, it is not true. And Paul Simon will not be he won't be a footnote.
And we didn't even
regardless
include
of his troubles.
We didn't even include like Mrs. Robinson or the Boxer. I mean, there's like just the obvious ones too that are awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We like kind of like shied away from, by and large, from the giant hits of Simon and Garfunkel. This list is predominantly solo Paul Simon. So anyway, well, firstly, Donovan, it's really nice to hear your voice and catch up with you, and I hope that you're doing okay out there in California.
I'm in Seattle.
Hope you're doing all right in Seattle.
It's good to know you're not harboring any long-held anger at either of us.
Yes, that is a relief. I don't know. It was a long time
thanks
ago.
for having me. This was a blast, guys. Love talking about some music with y'all.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know if you find any more incendiary articles, and we can deconstruct them moving forward.
Oh yeah, I'll be your clickbait guy.
Right on.
Nice.
I'll dive down all the clickbait.
Clickbait Pete. Let's check in with Clickbait Pete. Into it. All right. Well, on that note, stay dry out there in Seattle. Rainy Seattle there. The Windy City. Oh.
The Big Apple.
Oh, that's right.
Seattle. The Big Apple.
SAZETU is brought to you by Maine Spirits. Learn more about the spirits they bring into the state of Maine at mainspirits.com and what to do with them by downloading their app for your smartphone or visit them on Instagram at Maine_spirits. Promotional consideration provided by State Theater Portland. Learn more at statetheaterportland.com and Sun Tiki Studios. Learn more at suntikistudios.com.